What's up, Stefan? You got a lot of hair, bro. What do you want to do today?
Bro, I think I'm gonna get a modern mullet. Bro.
Yes, I got you. No I got you. I put it in my phone. I knew it. You sure you don't want a buzz cut, bro? We can take it.
She don't want it too short. My girl don't want it too short.
Ah, okay.
I'm starting my new job on the 3rd, bro. So.
You start a new job on the 3rd?
Yeah, so I gotta write.
Oh, we need to lock in, twin. All right, bet. Let's go. So today we're gonna be taking this overgrown hair and turning it into a modern mullet and breaking this haircut down step by step so that you never ever have to struggle doing a modern mullet haircut again. So the first thing you want to do is you want to find out his swirl. Everybody has their own hair growth pattern. So I'm just going to go and find the swirl. You can see it's right here. And this is going to help me separate the top from the sides. Now what I'm going to do is connect the swirl that he has in the back to his front hairline. This is going to help me naturally just section off the top from the sides. And now you just separated the top from the sides. Super easy, and it creates like this U shape. And we want it to be pretty tight. So a lot of this is going to come off. And I'm going to pick a section right here, just like this. And I'll measure it with my comb so I know exactly how much length I need to take off on the other side. And now I have another even reference point on this side. Now, a lot of people struggle with how to actually connect the short sides into the long back. But I'm gonna show you with reference points how it's super easy. So now we're gonna go create another section point. So I'm gonna grab some hair just from the middle and just pull it out to me. Now you wanna be aware of where you want the hair to sit when it's all styled. So sometimes I'll kind of look from the sides and see, okay, about where do I want the hair to sit at? And about here is gonna be a good length. So I'm gonna go, pull it, and I'm always gonna use the fine teeth of my comb. The reason why is just because it's gonna allow me to have a lot more control and tension. So I get a way better cut. And now that's my 3rd reference point right there. Now, if you want the back to be longer, you can set this reference point longer. If you want it to be shorter, then shorter. But it's gonna be pretty even in the back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull another point from the bottom. And I'm gonna pull this out and just cut that section point right there. Now I'm gonna connect this point to these points on the sides. So I'm just gonna pull it and just follow my guide around the head. So you can see my guide right there on the left. And I'm just gonna move over every time and just cut it. And then you can see, here's my reference point right here. Pull the hair out to me. Now I have to angle my fingers a little bit differently so that I can connect the short length into the longer length of the back. And now I just connected the short to the long. Same thing over here. I could even come from here if I really wanted to, but I'm gonna go right over here, pull it straight to me, and just connect this length. Just make sure to use your guide from the right to cut it all the way over. And then as you get closer to this reference point over here, you have to change the angle of your fingers because it's gonna be shorter to longer. And now that we have this U shape all around here, now I can go ahead and do the bottom. Now I'm gonna go ahead and set in my bottom line. So I'm gonna pull this out and just use that guide to cut all this hair at the bottom. That way, when you do this separately, it just really allows you to have everything even. The last thing you want with these scissor haircuts is to have one side longer than the other. Pull this straight out to me, boom. And now I can just start connecting this kind of top line to this bottom line. Now granted, everything here is gonna be faded. It's gonna be a lot shorter. So I'm just gonna take a section at a time, push this hair over, bring this straight out to me. I'm just gonna knock this down. Eventually, I mean, this is all gonna be cut with clippers. This is more or less just to make sure that we can flow into the back hair. Same with this, I'm just gonna go straight down. And now when we start going behind the ear, I'm gonna pull a section all the way down so I can connect it. This is where it gets really fun because I have my bottom point and my top point, and we're just literally playing connect the dots. So I'm gonna pull this out and just start to cut. But now I gotta go and find that short point at the bottom. You can see the short point is right there. And you can see now, just gonna angle my fingers and just connect my short to my short, boom. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and do this around the whole head. Pull this out to me. And you can see like how all the hair is kind of staying in place. That's because the hair is wet and it's saturated. That's why it's important to make sure that you're cutting the hair when it's wet, especially when you're doing this much scissor work. I mean, you can do it dry, it's just gonna be a lot harder to control. So I'm gonna do another, pull this straight out. And you can see that I'm gonna meet it up at that short point, at the bottom, every single time. So I don't really have to, right now, I don't really have to think. I can almost go like on autopilot and just connect my dots because I know exactly how I'm gonna, I know exactly what I'm doing. Right here, push all this over, and same thing over here. Just don't take sections that are too big. If you take sections that are too big, what ends up happening is the haircut's gonna come out uneven because you're pulling too much hair at one time. My sections are only gonna be about the size of a comb. Pull it straight out, boom. And meet at that bottom point again. Now when I get to this point, I do kind of like to restart and just start from the front of the other side. So when I get over here, I'll go ahead and just restart from this side. I'm just keeping my fingers straight down for all this hair that's in front of the ear. And now I can connect back into all this length at the bottom. Find that short point. You can see the short point's right there. And you can see that short to short. Now to add a little bit more texture inside of the back, what I'm gonna do is take one of these. This is called a feather razor, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just start to lightly go ahead and just feather this over the back of his hair. This does help kind of things to blend in a little bit more, but really what it does, it just helps to bring a little bit more texture in the back, which is super important for this haircut, is texture. Now, depending how much texture you put into somebody's hair, I feel like it really depends on how much they want, but really also taking into account their own hair texture. If somebody has curly or wavy hair, there's already texture in the hair, so you really don't have to texture it too much. But when somebody has hair that's honestly pretty straight, you want to go ahead and add more texture into it. That's going to help with volume, it's going to help with flow, and overall just like the style that they're going for. And you're just taking off a little bit at a time. Don't go too crazy at all, because you can always texture it again when the hair's dry. But now you can see I have tighter sides, and yet I have still a long, messy back right here. So you can see that this is all out flowing, but this is sitting a lot tighter. So now we're gonna go and cut the top. And this is probably one of the most stressful parts when people start doing these type of haircuts, because they don't know how to take, you know, something like this and turn it into a messy textured top. You can see his hair is going all the way down to essentially like almost the bottom of his face. So how can you go ahead and make this not look like an Edgar haircut? First off, you're gonna drop the chair, find that swirl again, and just draw a line going straight down. It's gonna look kind of wacky at first. It's gonna look kind of crazy, but just connecting it to their front hairline, just literally part the hair down the middle, because you want this to be even on both sides. Now the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna use, again, more reference points. So I'm gonna take a section of hair and just measure it wherever I want it to sit. Now with this style, they're gonna scrunch up their hair, they're gonna texture it, they're gonna style it, so it's gonna bounce up a little bit. So if I want it to sit here, I really have to cut it down here. If I want it to sit here, I gotta cut it, you know, you essentially have to cut it a little bit lower than where you actually want it to sit at. So I'm gonna cut it right here under his eyebrow, and I'm gonna purposely kind of chop at it a little bit. And then here, you can even go and kind of scrunch the hair up and see where it's gonna lay at. Now we want it to lay a little bit above the eyebrow, so I'm gonna cut it at the eyebrow. So now you can see it's sitting on the eyebrow, so when I style it, I know it's gonna sit a little bit above. So this is our first reference point, and now the rest of this, we're really just gonna connect the top into the sides so that we don't have any hangover. So that first line, that first kind of U-shaped band that we set in the beginning, that's gonna be the line that we're connecting all the top length to. See that length at the bottom? That's what we're gonna connect it into. So we're gonna follow that same shape. Now this is where it gets tricky, right? Because you see that line, but where it gets a little tricky is that I actually want to keep this part a little bit longer. I don't want to go as short as here. It's not going to blend into the front. So now I'm not going to really worry about this line when I get in front of the ear. I'm going to worry about connecting this to this. So I'm going to pull this straight down. I'm just worried about connecting it from the bangs into everything that I just cut behind the ear. Just like this. Now we just went and connected it. So now that when I style all this forward, you can see he's still going to have a very full front fringe and bang area. Now I'll do the same thing on the other side. To make sure your bangs are gonna come out even, you'll stand right here in front of them and use this as your guide to cut the rest of this. Same thing, just use this as a guide. Cut it a little bit textured. So now if I mess it up, you can see that now we have really even bangs in the front. Now we're just gonna go ahead and do the same thing. Take all this hair, pull it down, find that line underneath, and just keep going. Check my length. And everything in front of the ear, I just worry about connecting my reference points. Now we can actually go ahead and cut the top. The cool thing about this, cutting hair this way, is that it's gonna tell me exactly how much hair off of the top. All I'm gonna do is start to comb this over. I'm gonna pull the hair up, and I'm gonna get a guide right here. You see this guide? this was from me connecting it. So I can just go and cut straight across. Just keeping my fingers parallel to the floor. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll actually go and we'll start to round our fingers like this. You don't want to round them, you just want to keep them straight. Now to add some more texture, instead of cutting it straight across, I can have my scissors at an angle and just point cut like that. This adds a little bit of texture at the top while also cutting the length. So it's almost like a 2-for-1, right? 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm gonna cut the length so that it's even, but I'm also going to texture it at the same time. That's the whole point of like efficiency, right? Is being able to do a great job, but also not have to take like 2 hours to cut somebody's hair, you know, because you just know exactly what you're doing. And that's what clients appreciate. Clients, you know, no client that's getting like, let's say a modern mullet wants their haircut to be the first modern mullet that you do. Like, that's scary, bro. So now what I'm gonna do, when it comes to the front, you see how the head is kind of like sloped, it's round here. So I'm gonna layer it. I'm gonna cut it so that it's a little bit softer. So I'm actually gonna take sections like this now. I'm not gonna stand behind, I'm gonna stand to the side, pull the hair up, and I can see my short point from the bangs that's starting to fall over, and just connect it up here. Pull all this hair up, see short point, short point. And I feel like for me, that just helps the front to be a lot softer. So you can see, look how soft and textured the front is already sitting. It's sitting even, it's sitting a little bit above his eyebrow, but you can see here, it's also a lot softer and already textured because of all the work that we did. And that's like without any, you know, feather razor yet. But now look, this is the wet look. Right now, you can see the sides are tighter. I still have a lot of flare in the back for this all set up. I have a nice meshy textured front, and now we just have to go ahead and do the shadow taper on the sides. So I'm gonna pre-style his hair with a little bit of sea salt spray from Tomb45. I'm gonna go ahead and just really focus on drying this area before I try to style everything up here. And that I'm gonna do with a little bit of sea salt spray. Because really the only thing that I wanna cut dry is really just the clipper work right here. And I'm just gonna absolutely blast it. So I'm gonna do full speed and high heat. So here you can see that everything else is still a little bit damp or wet, but that doesn't matter. What matters is this area right here that it's gonna be dry, because whenever I'm doing clipper work, I really wanna do it into pretty much dry hair. So all I'm gonna do is take a number 5 guard on my Tomb45 clippers, and my goal is just to blend into this. We're not gonna do a skin taper, but we're still gonna keep a bit of a shadow. So I'm just going straight up. I'm making sure to not cut into the bangs. I don't really wanna cut into any of my scissor work. I just wanna take this area down right here. And this is where I like to fade down. I don't know how light his hair is, right? If I go straight to a number 2, it might look almost like too light. It might look like skin. So I'll start with a 5, and then I can always just work my way down. So I'm gonna do a number 4 guard and start to knock all this down just a little bit more. And you can see at the bottom, it's already starting to get light, and this is at a number 4. So I can really just stay right here at a number 4, and it already has like a shadow taper. But it's different for everybody's hair. You know, for some people's hair, I might have to go all the way to like a number 3 guard or number 2 or 1.5. But this is good right here. So now I know on the other side, I just got to do a 4 into a 5. Same thing, move all this long hair out the way, move all this long hair out the way, and just blend into this panel right here. Now we're gonna do our number 4. You can see the same things happen on this side where it's getting light already at that 4. And now we're just gonna go, and we're just gonna line this up just so we can have a sharper look. So I'm gonna go back to my Tomb45 trimmers and just line this up. Now, whenever you're lining up somebody's sideburn, you wanna look at where is it at on the ear. So like here, you can see this little part of the ear, it's about like halfway up. So when I do the other side, I know exactly where to put it at. You don't want one sideburn to be longer than the other. I think that's really why I'm so big on using like reference points, because the more reference points that I can use, whether it's the eyebrows or whether it's the length of the comb or whether it's like, you know, their ears, whatever it is, it just allows me to make sure that my work is consistent all the way around. One side's not gonna be longer than the other. I'm gonna clean up some of this hair around the ear. I'm still gonna keep the back kind of like flowy and natural, but I just don't want to have it too much length on the ear. Same thing over here about the middle of the ear. Line all this up in front. And then line everything up behind the ear. Same thing, this hair that's laying over the ear, I want to cut that. And then I'm just gonna blend this line into what's behind it. So then now I have still a flowy, messy textured back, but I got these clean ends right here. Now to really style his hair, I'm gonna be using some destructible clay from Tomb45. I'm gonna use about whatever mie is, technically, scientifically. I'm gonna use about a mie amount in the hands just like this. And then honestly, just go crazy. I'm trying to get it into his hair, into like the roots of the hair. I'm scrunching it all up. But you can see all this texture and flow that we have in the back. And then from here, I'm literally just gonna blow dry with my Babyliss blow dryer and a diffuser and style them up. And if I really wanna get freaky, I'm definitely gonna throw some texture powder in here. You can't be scared sometimes. Sometimes you gotta get a little freaky with it. Look at the shape that we already have. A big thing too is whenever you're styling this type of haircut, I'm gonna blow dry this hair up a little bit just because it's gonna help it have a little bit more lift.